Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hadid, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألم يأن للذين آمنوا أن تخشع قلوبهم لذكر الله وما نزل من الحق ولا يكونوا كالذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبل فطال عليهم الأمد فقست قلوبهم وكثير منهم فاسقون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enjoins the believers, right? Calls to the believers, saying, has the time not come for the hearts of the believers to be humbled, to submit to the remembrance of God? And generally, this dhikrullah, this remembrance of God, is understood by the commentators to be a reference to the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, the believers, that has the time not come for our hearts to be humbled, right, to submit to the Quran. I notice that the people that are being addressed here are not disbelievers, are not those who reject Quran, but rather those who have accepted the Quran, right? And yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling those ones, right, that has the time not come for those who believe, for their hearts to submit to the remembrance of God. So we are being warned here that we should be careful not to assume just because we're believers, our relationship with revelation is as it should be. Just because we accept the revelation as from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are from those who react to it, who engage with it as we are supposed to, right? This verse should really kind of give rise to a sense of urgency, a sense of concern, right? When I hear this verse, I should consider to what extent am I failing, am I lacking in my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through revelation? To what extent am I lacking in my response to revelation, right? And when this sense of urgency arises, right, I should think, right, to what extent am I following the path of those who came before? Because you'll notice the verse says, "Wala yakunu kalladhina utul kitaba min qabl," and do not be like those who were giving the revelation before, long ago, and with the passing of time, their hearts became hardened, even though they accepted revelation initially. With the passing of time, their hearts became hardened, and so they became wrongdoers. Right? So this verse should really cause me to be concerned. Right? To what extent am I fueling my relationship with the Quran? Right? Or to what extent am I going the way of those who become distant from revelation to the point that their hearts harden, they can no longer receive the revelation. They can no longer be responsive to revelation, right? And so, yeah, when this verse, when this sense of urgency arises, right, when this grave concern emerges, then we can consider the next verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, اعلموا أن الله يحيي الأرض بعد موتها, right? That know that it is Allah that revives the land, that revives earth, right? That revives the vegetation, okay, after it has died. So that we see, the trees, the leaves, they become brown in winter. And we know with time, they become green again, right? By the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so many of the scholars, if you read At-Tabari, for example, it tells us that when we consider this verse, okay, in relation to the verse that comes before it, then we can kind of have a sense of trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a hope that in spite of, perhaps I do, after this introspection, after considering, reflection on the state of my heart, perhaps I do find that my heart is lacking. Perhaps I do find that I have become distant from the Quran. Perhaps I find that my heart has hardened to an extent, right? And so it can no longer receive the insights of the Quran, okay? And if I find that this is the case, then I can still place my hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that just as He revives the land after it has died, so too Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can revive the hearts after they have been hardened, after they are spiritually dead. Right? And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those whose hearts are revived in this Ramadan, so that we are among those who receive the truths of the Quran, who receive the insights of the Quran. Allahumma ameen.